yesterday.
Right. Well, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Ever wonder what happened to us since COVID? I know all of us are really tired and just want to move on, but it was a pivotal moment in terms of how organizations and users leverage technology. We went from the office to our homes, and in the last 4 years, we've all grown accustomed to new ways of doing business. However, those investments are now at a point where we really need to take a look at them again and determine how those technologies are being leveraged. What's also interesting, 50 million of the new workforce are now millennials. Our digital natives are forcing us to look at different ways in which we communicate. Welcome to another Blue Mantis Fireside Chat. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey with one of our customers in the carrier space. We hope that you walk out of this session with some additional data to help you in your own journey. And please keep in mind that this is a collaborative chat, so please feel free to engage us on chat or live. My name is Mario Brum, and I'm your host for today. Let me introduce you to our panel of distinguished guests. Tom Early from the Ford Foundation. Welcome, sir.
Yes, my name is Tom Early, manager of global infrastructure for the Ford Foundation. The Ford Foundation was started in 1938 by Henry and Edsel Ford as an organization to promote peace and social justice around the world.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us, Tom. Rob Fitzgerald, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mario. Excited to be here. For those that attend these fireside chats, I am becoming more and more of a regular. Blue Mantis employee, 15 years, 25 years in cybersecurity, 15 years as a testifying expert on cybercrime, as well as experience as a CISO, as an architect, and solution provider.
Jesus, you just scared me right there, in cybersecurity. Curdy K, welcome, sir.
Glad to be here, Mario. I'm Kurt Karshik. I'm the Director of Carrier Services for Blue Mantis. I've spent over 25 years in network connectivity, working with carriers in new age communication systems. I oversee the portfolio of our connectivity, continuity, and communication providers here at Blue Mantis. Glad to be here.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being here with us. Let me start with just a simple question. What is unified communication? And I'll just go around the horn, and maybe Tom, take us through that first, and then we'll go around and get everybody else's opinion. But what is unified communications?
As you indicated in your question, it's everything. It's voice, it's video, it's text communications.
Kurt, you clearly have a huge opinion.
Hey, I'm going to just go with it's the ability to engage anywhere, anytime, on any channel of communications that end user requires.
Yeah.
Goal being be where your customers are.
Yeah. Rob, how do you see it, sir?
I'm going to... Kurt built on Tom. I'm going to build on Kurt here and say it's the future of business. And the reason I say that is because we're now at the dawn of consumerization of AI, and AI is all about information sharing in real time to take better actions, make better decisions in the most efficient way possible. And what we are seeing when we look at unified communications is how are we getting access to and sharing all the data when we need it, the way we need it, in the format that we need it. And quite frankly, we are absolutely at a point where to be successful, unified communications is critical to business.
Interesting. So as you know, every solution actually starts with a specific challenge. And I'll challenge you, Tom, to kind of let us know as you started down this journey, what was the biggest challenge that you were facing as you began this?
Being that we're an international organization with offices around the world, what we come to discover as we were investigating this process was that in the US, feature functionality, it's fully there, that you can just select your provider and you're up and running on what you can do capability-wise. Once you cross that border, it becomes a whole different animal. at that point, because there are a lot of rules and regulations that are governing this technology, depending on the country you're in. Some, it's not supported. Some it's only supported in a hybrid kind of way, and some that it's limited in what you can do in certain types of like SMS communications or that really placed a lot of burden on us to understand what we could provide to our staff globally.
Hmm. Kurt K, obviously, sorry, Kurt Karshich, but we know yes. Okay. So do you see similar challenges that that Tom has alluded to in the beginning of these type of journeys?
Absolutely. And one of the things that we try to focus on is assisting the folks like Tom when it comes down to looking at all their attributes. Are they international? Do those international or even local locations or people need to have localized phone numbers? Need to have abilities to feel as though the recipients of their communications are in the same area as they are. So when we look out to our portfolio of providers, we match them up and help align Tom with making decisions a little bit easier associated with preferred vendors that can really hit the mark for him, whether it's international, multi-site, resiliency, or certain feature sets, including the ability to integrate
Yeah,
locations.
yeah. Rob, from a security stance, what could be the biggest challenge for customers?
It's funny. I get asked a lot, why am I involved? You're the security guy. Why are you involved? Well, the reality is there's data security across the pipes through the transit, as well as data privacy laws that we need to be managing, right? So whether it is corporate IP that you're trying to protect from country to country, or on the flip side, as you move into different countries, understanding their data privacy, where data needs to be stored, all of those laws and how you're going to manage that. Now, understand, in some cases, you buy carrier services through the national government, right? They own the carrier and or provide the carriers to be used, in which case there are additional rules and regulations that you have to take into consideration and really be thinking about and understanding how you're going to handle that. Because if you have an issue or an event in one country, it may impact something happening in another country.
Sure. Yeah. So my opening statement was about 50 million millennials coming into the workforce. Tom, how has life changed in the Ford Foundation with the adoption of this new technology, specifically how it impacted your users?
Yeah. Great question. What we discovered coming, into COVID and after COVID was telephony kind of died. And users, and particularly to your question, Mario, about millennials, was they were more used to FaceTiming, or just, video chatting or just texting. So we had to look at the solution, say, okay, how compatible is it to that type of environment? And obviously, as we alluded earlier with the UCAS comments, was yes, these solutions now are no longer just telephony. They are an all-encompassing messaging platform where people are able to just text, or they're able to then jump on a video call. And the users adopted, and not only is it like a traditional desktop environment, but it is on the mobile device as well, and very easy to use.
Yeah. Rob, I think going back to cybersecurity, end users tend to be revolutionaries to, any type of security walls that we put up. How do we face, what's the potential challenge there?
Well, it's funny, as we're having this conversation, another sort of scenario popped in my head, which is the digital nomad. It's now easier than ever to say, hey, I'm going to go over to Portugal and work from Portugal for a month or two and then come back. Or
everyone should go to Portugal.
Everyone should go to Portugal. That is true. That is true. But my point is, right, like, so we also have a scenario where people have the ability to be transient and understanding where they are when they're using the tools and applications. Now, to the point that you just brought up, right? A lot of users look for simple solutions. Let's get through this quickly and easily. And so oftentimes, if you don't have proper endpoint controls and you haven't educated your employee base on the value, that the true value, not just the ease of use, but the true value of the unified communications platform that you choose, you have two risks. One, a user stepping outside of bounds, but then two, the risk of losing or being able to capture valuable information that can help your organization and also meet your compliance regulations, right? Because in Portugal, there's one set of compliance regulations. In Canada, there's another. In the United States, there's a third. And even within the United States, there are different rules and regulations. So I think you bring up a really good point about educating employees on the corporate benefit, the impactful benefit that a unified communications platform can bring to the organization.
Thank you. Hey, team, can we bring up the first poll question for the audience, please? And so when do you plan on consolidating your various unified communication solutions? And while we're getting some of those results, so if look at the journey, Tom, that you took in this, and what's the one piece of advice that you would give someone considering the move to cloud-based communication platform?
Yeah. One piece of advice, it varies depending. If you're just strictly a US-based company, then just look for vendors that have a solution that has the feature functionality that you desire. There's plenty of them in the space for that. If you're an international, your first call is to a lawyer. And to determine, as Rob and Kirk were mentioning earlier, is you got to know the rules and regulations and how you can operate within those countries. Because in some countries, yes, cloud telephony is fully supported in every possible way. Some it is, but you can't port numbers over to. Some you have to maintain the PRI presence. And so it's learning how you can do that. Then you can move that next step. Because even what we've discovered in our process, and Kirk can also help on this one, is that the feature functionality could be limited on what you can do in those countries. They may just say, oh, yes, you can just do strictly telephony, but no SMS, or you can do this, or something else. And so it's weeding through that process and understand. That's where Blue Mantis is a great advantage to us, because they have a lot of experience. They understand the market and the players in that space, and who could, in our case, support us in the countries that we were operating in.
Interesting. Kurt, from your perspective, as much guidance as you have provided along this, what's your advice? And just taking back from the poll question, which is it tends to be the audience is telling us 6 to 12 month plan to get there. Think of the runway for, as you look at considering this move, Kurt K, if you could, kind of add it to your answer here, which is the biggest piece of advice, and is 6 to 12 months the appropriate time, as customers start down this journey.
Sure. So first off, 6 to 12 months is a very acceptable amount of time. We typically, suggest to start taking a look at the network itself prior, to ensure that there's the appropriate amount of bandwidth, looking at the numbers of users that are going to be accessing a cloud-based application, where you're starting to use feature sets like video, takes up more bandwidth perhaps per user than today. So we just want to take that into consideration. We also want to make sure that that network is prepared to be resilient with primary and secondary connections, if not tertiary where need be. We'd want to understand if there's mobility involved, what types of devices these folks require. What's nice about unified communications is it tends to license itself out to support a multi-device strategy per user. And then lastly, I just want to make sure that at the end of it, we can we can enable a network to just drive a level of quality of experience for the end user.
Hmm.
So, and then a sidebar to that is some folks who are potentially leaving on-premise communication equipment will also want to recommend that those connections, which are no longer needed, minutes are no longer necessary, those connections can actually be shut down and replaced either with DIA, dedicated internet access circuits, or which is less expensive. So there could be a way to shift some of the previous OpEx expense over to this new investment. And we'll look into it.
No,
Those
thank
carriers, by the way, can take upwards of 3 to 6 months to change out. So there is a little bit of a homework assignment there to take a look, and our team can actually spend time taking a look at all existing locations and understanding what those current bills are, and make some recommendations.
Yeah. Did you have something to say there?
Yeah. I would say from the poll response, 6 to 12 months is a good time frame to start the project. The anticipation, or I would say the ability to complete the project may take significantly more time. And Kurt kind of was alluding to it in the sense is that, yes, if you're in the US, porting numbers is a pretty straightforward process, and may take a week or may 2 weeks. What we discovered in our process in certain countries, that could take months. And so you have to build in these type of delays, and then the same where we had to put routers in, voice gateways in, we had shipping delays that stretch out our project significantly.
Yeah. Rob, apologies to pick on you, but again, security hat on, my friend. What kind of advice would you give our customers that are starting the journey?
I think it's funny, right? I think there's a couple of things these gentlemen brought up. One, I like what Kurt had said in regards to as you move into a new platform, or expand a platform that you're in, reviewing the existing services that you're using to see if you can find cost savings, I think is absolutely huge. The other piece that to ping on Tom for a second, it can take months to Europe, Asia, South America. It can take upwards of a year in certain cases to get the connectivity that you need. And so you have to really think through and prepare for that. The best way to do that, and I go back to my security, my compliance hat, working with local counsel, legal counsel in other countries that you're trying to set up in can be incredibly beneficial. They can help you with paperwork. They can help you figure out the best way to ship gear or receive gear if it needs to be received. And as well, they can help you understand very accurately what the data privacy, data security rules and requirements are, both for, and remember, in certain countries, both for local users and visiting users that might be someone coming over to do 3 or 6 months in a remote location. So definitely some things to think about there. And then as you're working with your provider or your platform provider, sharing with them where you want to be geographically and asking who do you have as customers in this country or that country? What have you experienced? What are the lessons learned that we need to avoid some of the mistakes organizations before us have made?
Perfect. Excellent. Hey, team, can we pull up poll question number 2, please? And the question is, what is the reason you have not moved to an integrating calling? And while we'll get our audience to help us answer the question, Tom, how do customers get a chance to test drive this before making such a big decision?
We found that all the providers of these solutions are more than willing to do a proof of concepts. And so we went to several of the partners out there and did engage in 30 to 60-day proof of concept to test out the software, how it worked in our environment, was it compatible with the existing systems, and that helped us a lot in determining our path forward.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Rob first before I go to Kurt last. But Rob, your perspective.
In regards to
Test driving the technology, and again,
so test driving the technology, it's funny, right? Here's my personal experience, having now worked with all of the major platforms. They are all really good depending on what the needs are and where or how you're looking to use the platform. And I think that's really important, right? This is not one is exceptionally better than another. It's much more about my vision, starting with the end in mind. What are we getting done, or what do we want to accomplish? And from a security standpoint, do they meet all of the certifications? Do they have, an ISO certification or a NIST certification or a SOC 2 certification? What are they doing to ensure that their code is protected, that their code is scanned before they're dumping it into their platform and running it in a live environment? And their data, what are they giving you as assurance that any data they're capturing or that flows through their platform is being managed properly from a legal standpoint? And those are big questions.
Yeah. The reason I picked you last, Kurt, is because I looked at the audience question, and sort of this may play into your answer here, which is, lack of required telco experience is the number one reason our audience is not has not moved forward yet. Kurt, how do you tackle that?
So, well, what's nice about Blue Mantis is we've made an investment to offer, I'll kindly call it free assessment services and advisory services around the connectivity component, the billing, to Rob's point, the data gathering associated with the supplier recommendations to ensure that it supports the customer's dual authentication, that it's encrypted, whatever the compliance requirements may be. Additionally, we also highly recommend not only the fact that unified communications provides a lot of flexibility to test drive, like both Rob and Tom mentioned, but to ensure that the group of folks that this investment will impact, it'll have a different impact to the customer service and marketing side, as well as they have different requirements than the knowledge workers and perhaps the engineering side. So we do look at communications both from an internal perspective, how can that help enhance how folks are communicating internally, as well as how can we help the organization and the brand communicate externally to their customers, their supply chain and distribution networks, et cetera.
Excellent.
And Mario, I want to add to that, directly to that, poll response was, these solutions actually don't require a CCIE to move into. They are actually a lot simpler. One, the solution provider is going to bring the expertise in to help make that move for the users in there, but it becomes a much more simpler managed application to maintain moving forward, where you don't have to have a staff of bench of engineers to keep it going.
Yeah, thank you. Great point, Tom. So Tom, thank you. I think super important to first thank you for being part of the panel. But what kind of cultural impact did this have in your organization, Tom?
Great question. Being that we were kind of already in I don't want to say cloud environment, but we were already in a soft client environment. We were on-prem with the communication manager. Users were using a soft client to provide this tech, but we found that the cloud-based solutions provide a little bit more feature functionality, and that it helped improve communications. And especially for an organization like Ford Foundation, I mean, we have to provide services globally, not just in the office countries where we have offices, but wherever our people are traveling to. And their ability to be reachable on just their mobile device from internal communications really made, I would say, enhanced our ability to collaborate.
Very good. Well, thank you. Well, this has really been super insightful. Thank you, Tom, Rob, and Kurt for joining us here. We don't have any audience questions at this point in time, but super insightful to kind of get your perspective. For the audience, I really hope this was helpful in your unified communication journey. And with that, please don't forget bluemantis.com. If you have any questions, you can always engage our experts here. And we can't thank you enough for spending 30 minutes with us today. We hope you stay safe and healthy, and best of luck on your journey to unified communications. Have a great day.
Thank you.